think over the last few years with the pandemic, being a school principal, I just sat in my office, kept all the kids away from me because I didn't want to catch COVID. And I can remarkably say I have not caught it to date. So I'm hoping that I can keep that streak alive. National education, I will tell you that there's been a lot of adventures through the last few years with this. My plan to go through with you today basically sums up pre-pandemic, kind of where we were, what the pandemic did for education with Softball Canada, and of course, what is the future? What are some things that we have been looking at over the last few years towards the future of what we can better offer our umpires here in Canada? So if you looked at pre-pandemic situation for us, we had many certification manuals, levels 1 through 3. We had a level 4 manual. We had all kinds of instructor evaluator manuals, level 4 manuals, all that kind of stuff. We looked at updating those every 2 to 4 years. That was kind of the ratio of those. We worked very hard over the last few years with the official languages to make sure everything was in place for all of our umpires, so that we had all the languages covered and all the disciplines covered. I know slow pitch, of course, we try to parallel everything we do fast pitch with slow pitch so that we have equality between the programs. One of our focus, of course, was the face-to-face clinics and agendas. Those were always on our website, and those were looked at every year. We always look towards those types of things in order to help our provincial body to get into the best programming possible for their umpires. National exams, before the pandemic, it was either done on paper, and we were slowly moving to our online platform. More and more, the online platform for the exam has given us some excellent data that allows us to further tailor our exams to what the country needs. And so if you were on the webinar a few short days or short weeks ago, I talked about how those exams have evolved over the years and how they're actually created. The best part about this type of exam is that it's not just one person writing the exam, it's many people. And this virtual world was slowly starting to open up with the National Education Committee meeting online and starting to write these exams together, understanding what needs to be put into these exams. So again, one of the issues that came from this was the language. Sometimes the translations between the two exams were not the same. I want to give kudos to our friends in Quebec who would help me out with that, because unfortunately I am not gifted in the French world. Google Translate was my best friend for a lot of this stuff. So I would get some really good advice on how best to word these questions from our people in Quebec. And of course, not being a slow pitch person, I really enjoyed the help from the slow pitch community in producing quality questions, answers, and on those exams from the slow pitch community. I know they were doing a great job every year with this. Before the pandemic, wonderful questions came out from it, and I thought the exam was a very worthwhile product. Other things that we started to see was people wanted to see some different exams, not all individual levels. So we started to group things together. Our level 1 and 2 exam was the same exam. It was a base 50 questions. We always felt that the level 3 needed to be a little more. And so that's why we went to a single level 3. That's a kind of a pivotal point for whether that person is going to head to that national world or not. And of course, the level 4 or 5 exam, that exam was pretty static over the pre-pandemic phase. We did not change it a lot. And that's where we thought that exam was starting to become a little bit tired, because you had a variety of questions, but there was only about 200 questions in it. So you saw a lot of repetition in that particular exam. So we've done some work with that later on. We talked about the agendas and the PowerPoints and updated each year. So the level 1 to 3 was definitely done every year. The level 4 and the instructor evaluator were very much looked at over the course of every year. It had to be looked at because it was constantly changing. I have to go back to 2013, and Frank Ohm and myself had a really good look at that instructor evaluator clinic. And I think now in its current state, an excellent face-to-face type of clinic to attend. There's a lot of very practical knowledge in it. And so I'm really excited about that one over the course of time. We looked at online a little bit with the level 4, and that was in place before the pandemic. It also did face-to-face. We always did that one at Blue Convention face-to-face. I did a few of those at the call of a province. I don't remember doing one in Ontario. We've done stuff like that in BC, Alberta, those types of things. They've asked for them. But in the non-convention years when we got no calls to do them, we very much did that one online. And that really became one of the focuses of the online world for us, was that level 4 clinic that people could advance in a non-Blue convention year. It really opened up things for that. In the instructor evaluator word back before the pandemic, this was strictly a face-to-face type of clinic. We did this at Blue Convention at the call of the provinces. I know I've done a few of them over the country because people just needed that sort of clinic to be had so that their people could progress in their training. One of the biggest things we did before the pandemic, of course, was we established a whole bunch of criteria for the movement between these levels. And so very much defining in a rubric formed your levels A, B, C, D, and understanding what people needed to do to go between them. And it also really took the focus to the Canadian Championships, is not so much that people were level 4s or level 5s, it's just that they were starting to look at, were they A's, B's, C's, or D's in the evaluator side? And that could help move them along in this whole evaluator world and allow people to know, hey, if I want to get to this Canadian Championship, I need to improve myself and practice those skills that are needed to become that championship supervisor. So I thought we really were starting to get on the way with that. And of course, the big change that we had just before the pandemic hit was the national umpire schools. These were our national mechanics schools, is kind of what their focus was, because it only incorporated your mechanics, your positioning, your systems, basically took them away from the rules side of the game and really promoted the look at things that we know we struggle with at Canadian Championships, which is all those things other than rules. And so we had a rotation started. We did one in the East and one in the West every year. Before that, we had Alberta and Maritimes were our first year, and BC did theirs as well. We had large numbers of umpires that were participating in this. A really cool thing that happened was in the Maritimes, we ran it as a dual clinic, which was fast pitch and slow pitch, paralleling the exact same content, the exact same drills, but doing it in their discipline. We had I think we had close to 15 instructors for that one, because we had to have both sides going at the same time. But it was a wonderful weekend. We were in New Brunswick for that weekend. It was a wonderful time. I really appreciate their commitment to that program. And so the other part that came from this was the local instruction team got to be involved with this and learn some skills that they could take back to their clinics. We actually supervised some people there for their levels to go up, as this was an opportunity for them to really show more about the gym sessions than about the classroom sessions. And so we don't often see that. There's not as much time spent on that these days. So that was something that we very much were excited about. So that's kind of where we were before it all hit. So then all of a sudden the pandemic hit. And so where were you when this first became a thing? Well, for me, I flew back in from umpiring in New Zealand for a couple of weeks. I got back to my school and boom, it hit. I was a matter of 1 week from being stranded in New Zealand. I know it could have been a worse place to be stranded, but I don't think I could have found one at the time. So I was stuck here in Saskatchewan, where we were basically shut down within the first couple of weeks. So what did that mean for my work with Softball Canada Education? Well, we had to do things differently. We had to think about how we could still produce programming for our provinces. So I've got to say kudos to all the provinces that sent me email and talked to me about, geez, how about this? Could this work? So we did whatever it could in order to get that education out to people. So it was education in many and varied forms. We used a lot of different online platforms. We used Adobe Connect, we used Zoom, we used Microsoft Teams. There was as many different ways of doing this as there were provinces in our country and territories. For sure, it was definitely a varied effort. So we looked at technology to help us through all these online clinics. The online exams turned out to be very important, the online level 4. And when we got to the month of May, we thought to ourselves, is there any way we could ever do an instructor evaluator clinic online? And if I would have been asked that question 2 to 3 years ago, I would have said, no, I don't think this could really go. But with the pandemic, of course, things had to be done differently. So we really put our heads together as a group. There were many different people who had taught the instructor evaluator clinic in the past, and we started bouncing ideas off each other to see if this could actually be done. And voila, it happened. In a matter of a month, we put the instructor evaluator clinic together. And on our first chance to do this, we had over 40 participants. Very rare that you would ever see that, even in a face-to-face course. So we're very excited about that online instructor evaluator clinic. And it definitely challenged the instructors at the national level to very much step out of the box. We had to do something different, and this was it. And so things that got looked at during the pandemic, we started to think about all our programs. We had lots of time to dream because we were not participating in national championships that first summer. And so we had lots of time to think about, well, what if we had a national education portal where we had lots of different resources for people, lots of different things that people could be part of? We looked at national registration. Was there a way to do that? Was there a way to do national certification with clinics? Could we do asynchronous learning through our rules certification? Maybe for our instructor evaluator, could we recertify people after they've been kind of not doing it for a while? What about our level 4 or 5? Should they be doing something every year in the way of education? What about a national certification event for the whole country, where we brought all the level 1s in the whole country together and had them doing some learning together? What about a national database for people to, where am I in the certification process? Is there things that I can be doing that will better me in terms of education? So all these things were thrown around. We had lots of time. We might as well talk about them and see if there was some place that we could go with this. So what about the future? What about where we can go down the road with this? So what is coming back here during the post-pandemic age? We still have our face-to-face certification clinics. I don't think those will ever really go away. There'll always be some component with them. The manuals and agendas will still be there on the website for all our provinces to be part of and to use them in their clinics. The online exam, I cannot see that going anywhere. We had some requests for printables so that people could do the exams before they went online, and then they'd have an idea when they went on, they could just click in the correct boxes and go from there. And we've done that again this year. And so what about the national schools? What's going on with those? Well, I'm happy to say that those are back in business. So this next month, so in the month of May 27th through 29th, I am excited to say that we are hosting our first post-pandemic national school in, I believe it's Brandon, Manitoba, May 27th through 29th. I'm sure the Manitoba umpires will be excited to be part of that. We're bringing in myself and Scott McLaren will be in as the ODC members, and there are numerous Manitoba umpires that are going to be part of not only the event, but they're going to be on the instructional staff as well. So I'm hoping that they really enjoy that opportunity. It's will be the first one after our fun with the pandemic. Saskatchewan is looking at one in the fall of 2022. Ontario, we're looking 2022 or 2023, Quebec 2023. And then at that point, we are ready to start again. We will have gone through all our different provincial groups. And so we would be ready to start over again. And again, our first one was in Alberta a long time ago, it seems now. So looking forward to going back to Alberta there probably in the next couple of years. keeping from that pandemic world, the online level 4 was very widely participated in. We did 2 different clinics during the pandemic time. We were starting to run out of people. We had to cancel it this year because there was only 4 people left, and to take that clinic because of the Canadian Championships not running. We had nobody that was looking at that level, that moving to the level 4 theory as a part to prepare for the Canadian Championships. So what we're hoping after this summer with Canadian Championships back running again is that we will have more umpires that will be wanting to take this course, and that one will continue. Again, it still can be face-to-face if a province wants that, and for Blue Convention 2023, we will definitely be offering it face-to-face as well. Well, we're hoping there will be a lot more umpires that can take those based upon this summer's work. Also, that online instructor evaluator clinic, we worked through 3 sets of classes with over 75 new people that have joined us. I still can foresee that as face-to-face at Blue Convention or at the provincial request. And we will offer it as per level 4. Every year that we do not have a Blue Convention, we will be offering one of these as part of the events that Softball Canada will run. So possible ideas. Again, we had lots of time to think, lots of time to kind of go through things and say, what about certification levels? Do we see certification levels staying just strictly face-to-face? Do we see a mixture of online and face-to-face? Do we have online resources to move people through 1 to 3 levels, as well as 4 to 5 as recertification tasks? So do we look at certifications levels more? Again, that's a question that we've had. I'd be interested to know your feedback about that. If we were to put the certifications all online, and only thing that you did at a face-to-face clinic was your mechanics, positioning, and signals. It's an interesting idea. Another thing that we would really like to ask you about was the education for instructors and evaluators. By taking that course once, is this something that you're just one and done? We know that education needs to be updated. We know that it has to be current. And so do we need to have progression of tasks to get to those future levels and not just to move through them as you complete them? There needs to be some education behind that. Could that be through an asynchronous model where you do learning modules online? Again, that's another thing I would be interested to know from the masses. What do you think about that? This whole national portal idea. Okay, would this be something that the membership would love to see? This whole registration where you could keep track of all your stuff, where Softball Canada could know what is going on in our membership. Do we have instructors that are wanting to move through the levels? Do we have evaluators that want to do those national championships? But without seeing really where they are, would they know that they're eligible for that? All those different things are possible. Educational resources. Is it something that we could put videos, have a center for videos? We have one for YouTube right now, but would it be something where there would be a central place where people could go and say, hey, this is the most current education. This is what I need to know about. Could it be a one-stop shop for clinics, for any events, for exams, for resources, for anything that we would want to have as umpires? It's a possible idea for people. And so what I'm asking of you is, do you have a suggestion to make about education for all, to make it more accessible, to make it more useful for us? What about the future of umpire education? Is there something that you think would be really, really pivotal to make our program the best that it could be? Do you have a skill that you could help and make the education ideas a reality? I would really love to hear from you, because now is the time. We have been thinking things differently. Is there something new that we could produce from the education field? So I've put my email on there. I know it's on the Softball Canada website as well. And so if you have any thoughts, any feelings about what I've talked about today, or what you've been seeing in your province, I think it would be an excellent time to collaborate and start to say, hey, we're in a process that we do things a little differently now. Is there something else we could be doing really well as well? So anyway, so that's our national education. I can't be happier right now with the way things have progressed. People are opening up to new ideas. And so I think it's been a really good change. I hate to say that the pandemic was good for us, but it's definitely made a big change in what we need to do differently to meet our membership needs. So just a couple last little words for me. Just remember that National School in Manitoba, May 27 through 29. It doesn't just have to be Manitoba umpires. This is open to any umpire that would like to come in for that. It's in Brandon. So I know that would be a fun time. The other thing I want to just tell everybody as my last word is that the rules exams are officially open. They are ready for business. All the principals have been sent to your province. The exam is open for you to do, and it should be ready to spit out your results and congratulate you on a great year of rules. All right, so if there is no questions, I will turn it back over to Scott.
All right, Brent, we did have one quick, there was a question, a note, I guess, from Mike regarding
Mike Nelsnick.
Yes.
So IE theory should be updated perhaps every 5 years as part of recertification. That's exactly kind of what I'm talking about, Mike, where just because you got your first certification level, to move from the A to the B to the C to the D, I think there needs to be something between those that is a little more education-wise rather than just you go and you get seen. I think everybody can always learn from education. And so taking those skills that we're asking people to do and just to refine them and to re-update people with them, I think that's an excellent idea. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So yes, Mike, very much so. I very much see that that is a great way to move through those levels.
All right, anyone else have a question? You can turn your camera on and microphone and ask Brent. There's now a new you see the question, Brent, from John Bauer?
Yeah, is it possible to look at professional development model and that they have to maintain a certain level of points? We do have a national point system for level 4s and 5s. Is it possible to do something with instructors and evaluators? I think just moving through the levels and they're doing tasks in between those A, B, C, and D levels would be something that would be definitely used. I mean, that's how you could progress. If you're going to be moving from B to C, you need to do these types of things that would produce the needed tasks that you would want to do to move to that next level. So for sure, yeah, there's always professional development model around this.
Brent, Frank Humphreys from Ontario here. Just a quick question with regards to the level 4 clinics, because you had mentioned about the levels 1 to 3 and everything. With the level 4 being a nationally run clinic, is there any sort of inclination or any plans to make a level 4 instead of doing the full theory course to do like just a level 4 research clinic for when required?
Again, that was part of the recertification task idea between level 4s and 5s, that they would need to do updated tasks that we could produce for them in a professional development model. So if you think about it, level 1, 2, and 3 all have certification clinics. Once you hit level 4, there is one clinic and then that's it. So what I'm now looking at, and there has been some discussion around level 4s, level 5s, doing some updated tasks, some professional development tasks that will keep them current with what is expected with Softball Canada and with WBSC.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, anyone else with a question or not? All right, well, thank you, Brent. That was much appreciated. We will go and